Last night didn't leave anything obvious behind, and that's exactly why it matters. It moved quietly, without interruption, without anything demanding your attention, yet something about it did not pass the way it normally would. There is a difference between time simply passing and something being set into motion within that time. Most people only recognize change when it becomes visible, but some shifts begin beneath the surface, shaping what comes next before they ever reveal themselves. You may not have noticed anything in the moment, but the way things are forming now carries a different precision. The timing feels more exact, the direction feels less random, and even your awareness feels slightly sharper than before. This is not something you imagined. What you are starting to notice now is not the beginning. It is the result of something that has already happened. 1. Something crossed a threshold without noise. Not every change arrives in a way that you can immediately recognize. Some shifts do not come with a clear event, a strong emotion, or a moment that stands out in your memory. Instead, they happen quietly, without drawing attention to themselves, as if nothing significant occurred at all. You move through the moment, like any other, unaware that something beneath the surface has already completed its transition. This is what it means for something to cross a threshold without noise. A threshold is not just a small change. It is a point where something moves from one state into another in a way that cannot be reversed easily. But when that movement happens without interruption, without reaction, and without visibility, it does not feel like a turning point in the moment. It feels ordinary. It feels like nothing has changed. But something has. The difference is not in what you saw or felt at that time. The difference is in what is forming now. When a threshold is crossed quietly, the effect does not stay in the moment where it happened. It carries forward into everything that follows. It begins to influence how situations unfold, how timing aligns, and how your awareness starts to register things differently. You may notice that things no longer feel as random as they did before. There is a subtle sense that events are connecting in a more precise way. The gaps between actions and outcomes feel shorter. Certain moments seem to line up without effort. Even your own responses feel slightly different, as if you are seeing things from a position that was not fully available to you before. This is not coming from something that just started. It is coming from something that has already completed a shift. When a threshold is crossed, the previous structure does not continue in the same way. Even if everything looks similar on the outside, the underlying movement has changed. The patterns that once guided how things unfolded are no longer operating in the same form. A new direction has already been set, even if it has not fully revealed itself yet. Because it happened without noise, there was no moment for you to react to it. There was no chance to question it, to analyze it, or to interrupt it. It moved completely on its own, finishing what it needed to do before becoming visible. And now, what you are experiencing is not the shift itself, but the continuation of what that shift has already created. This is why it feels difficult to define. You are not looking at the beginning. You are looking at a result that is still unfolding. The cause has already passed. What remains is the effect, gradually becoming clearer as time moves forward. Most people miss this kind of change. They expect important moments to be obvious. They look for clear signals, clear breaks, or clear events that mark a new direction. But some of the most important transitions do not happen that way. They occur in silence, without drawing attention, and only reveal themselves later through the way things begin to align differently. You are starting to see that alignment now. Not all at once, but in small ways that keep repeating. A sense that something is more precise. A feeling that your position is not exactly what it was before. A recognition that the flow of events has shifted, even if you cannot explain how or why. This is how you know something crossed that point. Not because you saw it happen, but because you can feel that what comes after it is no longer the same as what came before. There is no need to go back and try to find the exact moment. It will not be obvious. It was not meant to be. What matters is recognizing that the shift is already complete. It has already moved through that unseen point, and now everything that follows is shaped by it. You are not at the start of something. You are in the middle of something that has already begun. And the reason it feels different now is because that threshold, once crossed, does not reopen. It does not reverse. It does not return to its previous state. It continues forward, quietly, steadily, and with a direction that is already set in motion. 2. The environment around you is responding differently. When something changes at a deeper level, the first place it shows is not always inside you. It often appears in how the environment begins to respond. The way people interact, the way situations unfold, and even the timing of small events start to feel slightly different. Nothing looks dramatically altered, yet the overall atmosphere carries a new tone that was not there before. This difference can be difficult to describe. Everything may appear normal on the surface. The same people are around you, the same places exist, the same routines continue. But within that familiarity, something has shifted in how those elements behave. The responses you receive are not exactly the same as before. Conversations may feel more measured. Interactions may carry a subtle awareness that did not exist earlier. This is not because the environment decided to change on its own. It is responding to a shift that has already taken place. When a threshold is crossed internally or within your path, the external environment begins to adjust. It does not happen instantly in a visible way. It happens through small, consistent changes that gradually become noticeable. The way people speak to you may carry more intention. The way situations align may feel more precise. Even the outcomes of simple actions may begin to follow a different pattern. You may notice pauses where there used to be quick reactions. You may sense that others are more aware of how they engage with you. Their tone may be slightly more controlled. Their behavior may appear more considered, as if they are responding to something they cannot fully explain. This is how an environment reacts when something within it is no longer the same. It does not announce the shift. It adapts to it. That adaptation shows up in how things move around you. Interactions are no longer automatic. Responses are no longer as predictable. There is a level of attention present that was not required before. You may also notice changes in how situations form. Events that once felt random may now seem more connected. Timing may begin to feel more exact, as if things are aligning rather than happening by chance. Certain opportunities may appear at moments that feel too precise to ignore. At the same time, other paths may begin to fade without needing a clear reason. This is not a coincidence. It is an adjustment. The environment is reorganizing itself around a shift that has already occurred. It is aligning with a new direction, even if that direction is not fully visible yet. What you are experiencing is not a sudden change, but a gradual response to something that has already moved into place. Because this response is subtle, it is easy to overlook. You may question whether anything has really changed. You may think that you are reading too much into small differences, but when those differences continue to appear, when the same sense of change repeats across different situations, it becomes clear that something real is happening. The environment does not behave differently without reason. It reflects what is already present beneath the surface. Your awareness of these changes is important. It means you are noticing the response while it is still forming. You are seeing how things are adjusting before the shift becomes obvious to everyone else. This gives you a clearer position within what is unfolding because you are not waiting for visible confirmation. You are recognizing the movement as it happens. There is no need to force understanding. You do not need to analyze every interaction or try to define every difference. What matters is that you stay aware of how things are responding. The patterns will become clearer over time. The alignment will become more visible as it continues to develop. It is enough to recognize that something is not the same. The environment is not reacting in the way it used to. It is adjusting, becoming more precise, more aware, and more aligned with a shift that has already taken place. And the fact that you can feel this change means you are not outside of it. You are already within it. You are seeing the response as it unfolds, not after it has completed. And that awareness is what allows you to move with it instead of trying to understand it too late. 3. You are no longer in the same position as before. Sometimes the biggest change is not where you are, but where you are standing from internally. You can remain in the same place, around the same people, doing many of the same things, and still no longer be in the same position. Nothing on the outside needs to shift immediately for your position to change. It happens first in how you see, how you respond, and how you hold your awareness. This can feel almost unnoticeable. There is no clear moment where you step into something new, no announcement, no visible transition. But if you pay attention, you begin to sense that you are no longer engaging in the same way. The things that once pulled you in no longer have the same effect. The reactions that used to come automatically are now slower, more controlled, or sometimes not there at all. This is not distance. It is repositioning. You are not withdrawing from your environment. You are relating to it differently. The way you process what is happening has shifted, and because of that, your place within it is no longer the same as before. You are no longer standing inside the same patterns, even if those patterns still exist around you. Before, your responses may have followed a certain rhythm. You reacted in ways that were familiar, both to you and to others. There was a level of predictability in how you moved, how you spoke, and how you engaged. That predictability placed you in a certain position within your environment, one that others understood and adjusted to. That position has changed. Now, your responses are no longer coming from the same place. You are not reacting automatically. You are observing more, responding with more intention, and allowing things to unfold without needing to engage at the same level. This creates a shift in how you exist within the same space. Others may still see you in the same way at first. They may expect the same responses, the same reactions, the same level of involvement. But over time, they begin to notice that something is different, not because you have said anything, but because your behavior no longer fits the pattern they were used to. This is where your new position becomes visible, not through explanation, but through contrast. You are still present, but you are not participating in the same way. You are still aware, but you are not reacting from the same level. And because of that, your position naturally moves outside of what used to define it. This change does not require effort. It is not something you are trying to create. It is something that has already happened as a result of the shift that took place. Your awareness has moved, and your position has followed it. This is why things may feel slightly unfamiliar, not because you are lost, but because you are no longer standing where you used to be. The environment may still be the same, but your relationship to it has changed. You are seeing it from a different level, responding from a different place, and that creates a new position even within the same circumstances. There is no need to go back and compare. The previous position no longer fits the way you are now processing things. Trying to return to it would feel forced, because the shift has already moved you beyond it. You may also notice that certain interactions no longer hold the same weight. Things that once felt important may now feel less necessary. Situations that once required your full attention may now pass without the same level of involvement. This is not a loss of interest. It is a result of standing in a different position. From this new position, your priorities begin to adjust. Your attention becomes more selective. Your responses become more precise. You are no longer moving through everything in the same way, and because of that, your role within your environment begins to change as well. This change may not be fully visible yet. Others may still relate to you as if you are in the same place. Situations may still unfold in familiar ways, but internally, the shift is already complete. Your position has already moved, and everything else will begin to adjust around that over time. You are not in transition. You have already transitioned. What you are experiencing now is the space where your new position is becoming clear, even if it has not fully reflected outwardly yet. And once your position changes at this level, it does not return to what it was before. It continues forward. It reshapes how you move, how you respond, and how you exist within every environment you enter. Because you are no longer standing where you once were. You are already somewhere different, even if everything around you has not caught up to it yet. 4. The pattern you were in has been interrupted. Every situation you stay in for a period of time develops a pattern. It is not something you plan, and it is not something you always notice. It builds slowly through repetition. The same type of reactions happen again and again. The same kind of responses are expected, and the same outcomes begin to repeat. Over time, this creates a structure that feels normal. You move through it without thinking because it has become familiar. That is what a pattern does. It creates predictability. You know how things usually go. You know what leads to what. Even when the pattern is not perfect, it still gives you a sense of understanding. There is a flow to it, a sequence that continues without needing to be questioned. But now, something has disrupted that sequence. Not in a loud way, not through conflict or a visible break. The interruption did not announce itself. It simply happened, and once it happened, the pattern could no longer continue in the same way. This is where it becomes important to notice the difference. The same situations may still appear, but they do not unfold the same way. The same triggers may be present, but your response to them has shifted. The same interactions may take place, but the outcome no longer follows the path it used to follow. That is how you know the pattern has been interrupted. It is no longer completing itself. Before, everything moved in a loop. One step led to another, and that sequence repeated over time. Now, that loop is broken. The sequence begins, but it does not finish the same way. Something stops it, redirects it, or changes its outcome before it can return to its usual form. This change may feel subtle at first. You may not be able to clearly explain what is different. You may just feel that things are not moving as smoothly as they used to, or that something is slightly off from what you expect. But that feeling is not random. It is the result of the pattern no longer being intact. When a pattern is interrupted, it creates a gap. That gap is where the old sequence no longer applies, but the new direction has not fully formed yet. It can feel uncertain because you are no longer moving within something familiar, but you are also not yet fully adjusted to what is replacing it. This is where awareness matters. If you try to force the old pattern to continue, it will not work the same way. The conditions that supported it are no longer there. Even if you try to repeat the same actions, the outcome will not match what it used to be. That is because the structure itself has changed. The interruption was not temporary. It was a shift that moved you out of the loop you were in. And once you are out of that loop, you cannot step back into it in the same way, even if parts of it still appear familiar. You may notice this in your own behavior. Your reactions are not as automatic. Your responses are more controlled. You may pause where you used to react instantly. You may choose not to engage where you once would have continued the pattern without thinking. This is not hesitation. It is the result of no longer being inside the same structure. The pattern relied on your previous way of responding. It depended on certain reactions, certain expectations, certain repetitions. Now that your response has changed, the pattern cannot complete itself. And without completion, it cannot continue. Others around you may also feel this shift. They may try to move the interaction in the same way as before, expecting the same outcome. But when the sequence does not complete, it creates a break in what they are used to. They may not understand why it feels different, but they can sense that something is no longer working the way it did. This is what an interruption does. It does not always destroy the pattern immediately. It simply stops it from repeating. That becomes more visible. The old way of moving becomes less effective. The familiar sequence loses its consistency, and eventually it becomes clear that something has changed at a deeper level. You are already in that change. You are no longer inside the pattern the way you were before. Even if parts of it still appear, they do not hold the same structure. They do not lead to the same outcomes. They do not carry the same continuity. This is not something you need to fix. It is something you need to recognize, because once a pattern is interrupted at this level, it is not meant to return to its previous form. It is meant to open space for something else to take its place, and that space is where you are now. Not inside the old pattern, not fully inside the new one, but the repetition has stopped, and a different direction has already begun to form. 5. What's happening now is a continuation, not a beginning. It can feel like something is starting right now, as if the changes you are noticing are new and just beginning to form. The timing makes it seem that way. Your awareness is becoming clearer, the patterns are becoming easier to recognize, and the direction feels more defined than before. Because of this, it is natural to think that this is the starting point. But what you are seeing now is not the beginning. It is the continuation of something that has already been set into motion. There is always a difference between when something actually begins and when you become aware of it. The beginning often happens quietly, without clarity, without a clear signal. It moves beneath the surface, shaping things in ways that are not immediately visible. By the time you start to notice it, it has already progressed beyond its starting point. That is where you are now. You are not at the moment where it started. You are at the point where it has developed enough to be seen. What feels new to you is not new in itself. It is simply becoming visible to your awareness after already moving forward for some time. This is why things feel more connected now. The patterns you are noticing are not forming at this moment. They have been forming. The timing that feels precise has already been aligning. The direction that feels clearer has already been shaping itself. You are now seeing the results of a process that has been unfolding without interruption. Understanding this changes how you interpret what is happening. If you see it as a beginning, you may feel the need to rush, to act quickly, or to figure everything out immediately. You may think that you are at the starting line and that everything depends on what you do next. But when you recognize it as a continuation, the pressure changes. You realize that you are stepping into something that is already in motion. You are not responsible for starting it. You are aligning with it. This allows you to move with more clarity and less urgency. You do not need to force direction because the direction already exists. You do not need to create meaning because meaning is already present. What you need to do is recognize where you are within the process. And where you are is not at the beginning. You are in the phase where things begin to reveal themselves. This is why certain things are becoming easier to notice. What was once subtle is now slightly clearer. What was once uncertain now carries a sense of direction. The movement that was hidden is now beginning to show itself through patterns, timing, and alignment. But it is important to understand that this clarity is not complete yet. You are still within the continuation. There is more that will unfold. There are parts of this process that are still developing, still aligning, still moving forward. What you see now is only a portion of what has already been set into motion. This is why patience matters. Not passive waiting, but steady awareness. The ability to observe what is unfolding without trying to rush it into full clarity. Because when something is already in motion, Forcing it to reveal everything at once can lead to misunderstanding. It is meant to become clear, step by step. You may also notice that things are moving without your effort. Situations are forming on their own. Timing is aligning without you needing to control it. Certain paths are becoming more visible, while others are quietly fading. This is not something you are creating at this moment. It is something you are stepping into. This is what continuation looks like. It carries its own momentum. You are not pushing it forward, you are moving with it. And that movement does not require force. It requires awareness. The more you recognize that this is already in progress, the more naturally you can align with it. You do not need to go back and find the exact starting point. It is no longer relevant. What matters is where you are now, within what is unfolding. You are at a point where the process has become visible enough for you to recognize it, but not so complete that everything is fully defined. That is a precise position to be in, because it allows you to move with awareness while the direction is still forming. So do not treat this like something that is just beginning. It has already begun. What you are seeing now is the continuation of that beginning, the part where movement becomes noticeable, where alignment becomes clearer, and where your awareness starts to catch up with what has already been in motion. And as this continuation unfolds further, what feels unclear now will begin to connect without effort, because you are not starting something new. You are stepping into something that has already been moving and is now ready to be seen. 6. The clarity will come through what unfolds next. Clarity does not always arrive at the moment you want it. When something begins quietly, without clear signals or defined meaning, the mind naturally tries to understand it immediately. It looks for explanations, for labels, for a way to make sense of what is happening right now. But not every situation is meant to be understood the moment it appears. Some things are designed to become clear through what happens next. Right now, you may feel that something has shifted, but you cannot fully explain what it is or where it is leading. That uncertainty can make it feel incomplete, as if you are missing something important. But what you are experiencing is not a lack of clarity. It is a stage where clarity has not yet revealed itself. There is a difference. A lack of clarity feels empty and directionless. This does not feel that way. There is movement. There is a sense that something is forming, even if it is not fully visible yet. That movement is what will bring understanding, not overthinking or forcing answers too early. What comes next is what will make it clear. The situations that begin to unfold, the timing that starts to align, and the way certain paths open while others close, will gradually show you what this shift actually means. Each step will carry a piece of the explanation. Each moment will reveal something that was not visible before. This is how clarity builds, not all at once, but in sequence. You are not meant to understand everything from where you are standing right now. You are meant to observe what begins to take shape from this point forward. The meaning is not locked in what has already passed. It is contained in what is about to happen. This is why forcing clarity too early can lead to confusion. When you try to define something before it has fully revealed itself, you risk creating an explanation that does not match what is actually unfolding. You may interpret it based on past patterns or expectations, instead of allowing it to show its true direction. That is why patience is necessary here. Not passive waiting, but active awareness. The ability to stay present with what is happening without rushing to conclusions. The ability to notice how things are developing without trying to control their outcome. Clarity will come naturally if you allow it to. You will start to see connections that were not visible before. You will notice patterns that make sense only after they have formed. You will understand why certain things happened only when you see what they lead to. This is how you know the clarity is real. It does not need to be forced. It arrives through alignment. As events unfold, they will begin to explain themselves. The direction will become more defined. The uncertainty will reduce, not because you pushed for answers, but because the answers revealed themselves through what actually happens. You may also notice that your awareness becomes sharper. Things that once felt unclear will start to connect. Decisions that once felt uncertain will begin to feel obvious. The path that once felt undefined will start to take shape in a way that does not require explanation. This is not something you create. It is something you recognize. The process is already in motion. What is needed now is not control, but observation. Not forcing, but allowing. Not rushing ahead, but staying aligned with what is unfolding step by step. Because clarity is not something you find by looking backward. It is something that forms as you move forward. Everything that needs to make sense will do so through the way things begin to happen next. The connections will appear, the direction will become visible, and the meaning will reveal itself without needing to be forced. You are not missing anything. You are simply at a point where the explanation has not fully arrived yet. And when it does, it will not feel complicated. It will feel obvious, because it will come directly from what unfolds in front of you, not from what you tried to figure out too early. So stay aware of what begins to take shape, because the clarity you are looking for is not behind you. It is already forming in what happens next. So don't rush to figure it out all at once. What matters is not forcing clarity about what already passed, but staying aware of what is beginning to take shape now, because the real meaning of last night is not locked in that moment. It is unfolding through what comes after it. You are not behind anything. You are just now becoming aware of something that has already moved into place. And, as things continue to develop, what feels unclear will start connecting without effort. There is no need to chase answers. Everything that needs to make sense will reveal itself through the way things begin to align, the way timing starts to feel precise, and the way certain paths open while others quietly fall away. And when you finally see it clearly, you will understand that nothing about last night was accidental. It was the moment something shifted, and everything after it began to follow a different direction.